German endings right with this video about the accusative case. This is video number 2 in my 4-part series about German cases. I've been releasing one video every month, so you can expect 2 more. And if you want to know about the nominative case, check it out. I'll put a link here and in the description. Today is all about the accusative case, so I will be telling you what exactly the accusative case is, how to identify it, what it impacts, and specific endings you need to memorize in order to use it properly. And so knowing all of this will help you speak fluent German and get you on the road to success in your learning journey. So let's get started with what exactly is the accusative case. If you really just get to the core of it, the accusative case is similar to the direct object in English. So if you see something in a sentence and you would call it the direct object in English, that's definitely accusative case in German. Now, why do they say accusative instead of just saying direct object? You know, they have all of these fancy names, nominative, accusative, dative. They could just be saying direct object, indirect object, but they don't. The reason for that is because these cases don't just impact sentence structure, grammar. They also impact other parts of German language that you need to be aware of, and it's easier just to put that accusative label on it. So, there are 7 things impacted by the accusative case. We've already talked about sentences, and it impacts word order to a certain extent because, accusative things tend to be in the middle of the sentence rather than the beginning or the end. But it's less of an issue than with nominative. Aspect number 2 is the definite article used. So German has 3 genders, so they don't just have one version of the word the like English. They have der, die, and das, which is masculine, feminine, and neuter. So those can be different depending on whether they are nominative, accusative, dative. And so accusative impacts it for sure. Then you have the indefinite articles like or an in English. Those are impacted by accusative as well. The endings of adjectives change depending on what case they are. The pronoun type can change, like I and me. That's a good one in English, I, me. And there's also something called a reflexive verb, which is always paired with a pronoun. It's kind of like saying I, myself. I, blah, 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 myself, blah, blah, blah. So those verbs can be specifically accusative or dative. And then that impacts which pronoun you're using with the reflexive verb. And prepositions are affected. There are some prepositions that are specifically accusative, and there are prepositions that change depending on the content of the preposition, basically, and what you're trying to say. So that brings us into how do you identify the accusative case? And method number 1 is just ask yourself if it is the direct object in the sentence. That's pretty simple. The second method is if it's a prepositional phrase, check if that preposition is accusative, dative, or two-way. And that will give you your answer. The third way to identify it is by memorizing the accusative versus the dative reflexive verbs. So if you're using a certain verb, you know it always uses the accusative pronoun. So that gives you a general understanding of the accusative, and now I will get into the nitty-gritty details of which endings go where and which articles you should be using, and it can be overwhelming. So if you are just starting out and you're getting caught up on that, just forget about it for a little bit. It's okay to get the endings wrong at first. You just have to practice. You have to speak, even if it's incorrectly. So don't worry about it as much. And if you need a place to practice, I am launching a German course for beginners. It's an immersion course where you learn by gradually acquiring new phrases and just using those in a natural context that's interesting in different scenarios. So, and it's all guided. So if you have questions, there's videos to explain. And it's for beginners, so it's a good place for a beginner to practice without being self-conscious. So I have a link to sign up for the mailing list below. And if you sign up, I'll let you know when the class comes out. Now, also in the description is a list of these endings so that you can print it out and memorize it. So I would recommend going and downloading those as well. So we're going to start with the definite articles. So we have masculine accusative, which is den, feminine accusative, die, neuter accusative, das, and plural accusative, die. Then we have indefinite articles like ein and kein. So masculine accusative is einen, feminine accusative, eine, neuter accusative, ein, and plural accusative, keine. Because you can't say eine if there's nothing, right? No. You can't say eine if there's multiple. That's the issue. But you can say none if there's multiple. Now we get into adjective endings, and these have 3 different categories themselves. The first category is adjectives that are just standalone by themselves. Second category is adjectives preceded by der words. So those are the definite articles, der, die, das, or dies, like dieser, dieses. And then the third category is adjectives preceded by indefinite articles like ein, kein. They just don't make it simple in German, do they? So I'm going to use the adjective alt as an example so you know what these look like. Alt means old. So if we do masculine, so we're doing the standalone adjectives. Masculine accusative is alte, masculine feminine, alte, masculine neuter, altes, and masculine plural, alte. Now we have adjectives preceded by der words, so der, die, das. The masculine accusative is den Alten. The feminine accusative is die Alte. The neuter accusative is das Alte. And the plural accusative is die Alten. Now we have adjectives preceded by indefinite articles. So masculine accusative is einen Alten. Feminine accusative, eine Alte. Neuter accusative, ein Altes. And plural accusative, eine Alten. So that was it for the adjectives. You only had to memorize 12 endings. Congratulations. Now we have pronouns.
Hey guys, I was just editing and I realized that I oversimplified the pronouns. So let's get into the details on these. There are 2 different types of pronouns. There's just the regular ones you use in sentences, and there's the reflexive pronouns that you use with reflexive verbs. And these pronouns are different. So let's start with the pronouns you would find out in the wild. Now, the German word sie can mean they, she, or you, and that does not change. So it's sie in the accusative as well. Now, the German word for it, es, also does not change, so es. But the other ones do change. So the word for I would be mich. Word for you, informal, would be dich. The word for he would be ihn. Word for we would be uns. The word The informal plural group, which is ihr in the nominative, is euch in the accusative. That was the normal pronouns. Let's do the reflexive ones now for the reflexive verbs. And that's kind of the equivalent to like myself, yourself, themselves in English. Most of these are sich, and the rest of them follow the same pattern as the normal nouns. So we have I, which is mich, you, informal, dich, he, she, it, sich, you, formal, sich, we, uns, you, informal group, euch, and are there any others? I mean, there's sie, meaning they, but that's also sich. So you have less to remember there. Kind of nice. And let's get you back to the video.
Then we have accusative prepositions. Woo! There's durch, für, gegen, ohne, and So anytime you see one of those prepositions, it's always, always, always going to be accusative. And there are many more two-sided prepositional phrases. I have an entire video on how to know if it's this like double accusative dative preposition, so I will link that. And that's it for today. Let me know if you have any questions below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you get notified when the video about the dative case drops. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Tschüss!